Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We love to take a deep dive into some fascinating concepts. And today is no exception. We're going to be exploring universal laws and shifting realities.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really interesting stuff. We've got some notes here on 5 universal laws, and
Okay.
and we've got some Bashar transcripts too. So
Awesome.
we're going to be pulling from all these different sources to
Well,
kind of get a better understanding of, is there a rule book to reality?
yeah, like what are the guidelines of reality?
I mean, who wouldn't want to know that?
Right.
Exactly. And we're going to be talking about some really interesting things like, the nature of time and the power of our beliefs, and even, maybe the potential to bend a spoon or two.
Oh, yeah. Spoon bending.
It's always a fun one.
Yeah, so let's get started with the 5 universal laws that are described in these notes. The first one is you exist.
Okay.
So this one sounds pretty straightforward, but
It sounds simple, right? But it's actually quite profound when you really think about it.
because Bashar's take on this is that non-existence can't exist.
Wait a minute.
You can't have nothing.
So there's no such thing as nothing.
There's no such thing as nothing, which means that you, as consciousness, as awareness, are eternal.
Yeah.
You can change form. You can't not be.
So I'm always going to exist in some form.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Mind-blowing, isn't it?
Okay, so the second law is everything is here and now.
Okay.
This one I'm already having trouble wrapping my head around.
Yeah, this one definitely challenges our kind of everyday perception of time as this linear thing,
Yeah.
Past, present, future. But think of it this way. All TV programs are running simultaneously,
Okay.
but you choose which one to tune into with your remote.
Right.
So similarly, all realities exist now,
Okay.
and they're separated by frequency.
Okay.
And it's our consciousness that kind of navigates through these different realities or frequencies.
So instead of like past, present, and future, it's more like everything's happening all at once.
Yeah, it's all happening now.
And we're just experiencing like a tiny slice of it.
Exactly. We're just
Yeah.
experiencing a tiny slice at any given moment.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get that.
Okay, good.
So how does this tie into like the concept of shifting realities?
Well, if everything exists now, then
Yeah.
all possible realities also exist now.
Okay.
The question becomes, how do we choose which reality to experience?
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So the third law says the one is the all and the all are the one.
Yeah.
Okay, this one sounds a little cryptic.
It does sound a bit cryptic, but what it's really highlighting is the interconnectedness of everything in the universe.
Okay.
So imagine like this giant cosmic web that's connecting everything.
Okay.
There's this one fundamental essence, this one source, and everything stems from that.
Okay.
So it's like, the cells in a body, we're all part of this grand interconnected web.
So even though like we perceive ourselves as like separate individuals, we're all fundamentally connected.
Exactly.
That's pretty profound.
It really shifts your perspective when you start thinking about it that way.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the fourth law. This one I've actually heard before. It says, what you put out is what you get back.
Yes, this is a classic.
Yes, a class.
Often referred to as the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
But Bashar adds a really interesting layer to this. He emphasizes that it's not just about attracting what you want.
Okay.
It's about removing the things that block you from receiving what you're already attracting.
So it's not just like wishing for something. It's like clearing out the stuff that's preventing it from coming to you.
Exactly.
What kind of stuff are we talking about?
We're talking about limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns, fears, doubts.
Yeah.
All that stuff that we tend to accumulate. Bashar suggests that we already possess the vibration to attract everything that we need.
Okay.
The real work is letting go of the things that are blocking that flow.
So it's more about internal work than like external manifestation.
Yeah, it's an inside job.
Okay, interesting. All right, and then the fifth law says everything changes except the laws.
Yeah.
So this one,
really highlights the dynamic nature of reality.
No.
These 5 laws are the constants.
Right.
They're like the unchanging framework. But everything else, our perceptions, our experiences, our beliefs, all of that is in constant flux.
So it's like those TV channels that we were talking about.
Exactly.
Are constantly like shifting through channels, experiencing different realities.
Yes, and that's where it gets really interesting because it suggests that we aren't just passive observers. We're active participants in shaping our reality.
Okay, now I am dying to know more about this shifting realities concept.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I think we need to talk about what drives this ability to shift.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the power of desire.
Yes, desire is a powerful force.
And we have this Bashar transcript here that talks about desire, and it's like even more powerful than the law of attraction.
Yeah, he calls it the formula.
Yeah. And he says that acting on your highest excitement in every moment is key to aligning with your true self.
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. Are you saying like I need to drop everything I'm doing and like chase every fleeting whim that comes into my head?
No, not quite. It's not about dropping everything and pursuing every fleeting whim. It's about noticing those little sparks of joy
Okay.
and allowing them to guide your choices step by step.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But how do I know I'm following true excitement and not like anxiety disguised as excitement?
That's such a good question.
Right, because sometimes it feels like the same thing.
Right. And that's something that Bashar addresses. He says, really check your definitions.
Okay.
Sometimes anxiety, which is driven by fear, can masquerade as excitement.
Okay.
So you really have to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Are you moving towards something that you genuinely desire?
Okay.
Or are you running away from something that you fear?
So it's about discerning between like genuine excitement, which feels expansive and joyful,
Yeah.
and then anxiety, which feels more constricted and fearful.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So this brings us to, I think, one of the most crucial aspects of shifting realities is removing the blocks that prevent us from experiencing the reality we desire.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is where those limiting beliefs come back in, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have this Bashar transcript here that dives deep into this process.
Okay.
And he makes this really interesting point. He says that becoming aware of a negative pattern is the end of the process, not the beginning.
Hold on a second. So you're saying just becoming aware of it isn't enough?
It's not enough.
Okay.
If the pattern continues, it means there's another underlying belief that needs to be identified and released.
So it's not enough to just recognize it? You have to dig deeper and uncover the root belief that's driving that pattern.
Yes, exactly.
So how do we do that?
Well, Bashar offers this great analogy of a skeleton key.
Okay, a skeleton key.
He's saying that all negative beliefs, no matter how powerful they seem, are ultimately just beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
We have the power to change them.
Okay, that's a really powerful image. So how do we use this skeleton key to unlock those limiting beliefs?
Well, he says that the stronger the fear of changing a belief,
Mm-hmm.
the closer you are to actually changing it.
Really?
Mm.
That's counterintuitive.
It is. It's like it's a sign that the negative belief is fighting for survival.
So if I'm really scared to change something, that probably means it's like a deeply ingrained belief that's been holding me back.
Exactly. It's like finally getting to the root of a stubborn weed,
Yeah, yeah.
It takes courage to face those fears and choose new empowering beliefs.
So even fear can be a signpost on the path to change.
Exactly. It means you're on the right track.
Okay, that's reassuring. All right, so I know we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
But before we really dive into the specifics of shifting realities,
Okay.
I want to talk about something that might seem a little out there.
Okay.
Spoon bending.
Spoon bending.
I always thought that was just a parlor trick.
Yeah, me too.
But Bashar has this really interesting perspective on it. He suggests that bending anything, even spoons, is actually a form of shifting realities.
Interesting.
He explains that each reality is a static snapshot,
Okay.
and we experience change by shifting our consciousness through different realities.
So like a film strip.
Yeah, it's like a projector moving through different frames of a film.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not about physically manipulating this spoon, but it's about like changing our perception of reality.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about acknowledging the existence of multiple realities and our ability to influence them with our beliefs and intentions.
So if I truly believe I can bend a spoon, I'm essentially shifting into a reality where this spoon is bent.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I need a minute to process this.
It's okay. Take your time.
This is a lot to take in. But before I get like totally lost in the multiverse, let's talk about the next topic, which is the ripple effect of intentional choices.
Okay.
This excerpt is suggesting that like our choices have a much broader impact than we realize.
It's talking about how like focused intention actually amplifies the energy that we direct towards manifestation.
Yes, it's like adding lemon juice to water.
Okay.
The greater the concentration, the stronger the flavor.
Okay.
So similarly, the more focused and intentional we are, the more powerful our manifestation becomes.
So it's like we're adding more lemon juice to our desires by being clear and focused in our intention.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And conversely, when we focus on what we don't want, we dilute that energy.
It's like watering down the lemon juice. the flavor becomes weaker.
Exactly.
But this makes you realize how important it is to be mindful of our thoughts and our choices.
Yes, absolutely. It's not just about what we do, but also about what we think and feel, because it's all energy.
Right. And this excerpt also talks about how our individual choices create a ripple effect that extends outwards
Yes.
and influences the collective consciousness.
Exactly. Remember that interconnectedness we were talking about earlier?
The one is the all. So our choices not only shape our personal reality, but they also contribute to the larger collective reality.
Yes, and the excerpt specifically mentions acts of kindness and compassion as having a particularly potent ripple effect
Okay.
because they inspire similar actions in others,
Mhm.
and that contributes to this positive collective evolution.
So by choosing kindness and compassion, we're not just making ourselves feel good,
Right.
we're actually contributing to a positive shift in the world.
Exactly. Even small acts of kindness can have a huge impact.
Wow, that's incredible.
Okay.
Okay, so before we get too carried away with the idea of like saving the world with good vibes,
Yeah.
I want to talk about something a bit more cosmic,
Okay.
the origin of the universe.
Okay.
We have this video here where Bashar delves into the Big Bang.
All right.
And, well, let's just say he offers a unique perspective.
Interesting. I'm curious to hear this.
So, the Big Bang is generally considered to be the beginning of everything, right?
Right.
But Bashar proposes that it wasn't the ultimate beginning, but rather the start of our particular universe within a multiverse of infinite cycles.
So there were other universes before ours.
That's Bashar's perspective.
Wow.
He uses this analogy of a single particle traveling at infinite speed.
Okay.
And imagine it appearing to be everywhere at once, creating density where its paths intersect.
Oh, I'm trying to visualize this.
So the universe is like this giant web woven by this infinitely fast particle.
That's a great way to put it.
And those denser intersections represent the matter that we perceive,
Okay.
while the less dense areas make up what scientists call dark matter and dark energy.
Wow, so the universe is more like a constantly evolving energy field
Exactly.
than a static structure.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So what triggered this expansion?
Right. What set this particle in
What,
motion?
what was the cause?
Yeah.
Well, Bashar suggests that it was the one,
Okay.
source consciousness becoming self-aware.
Hold on a second. If the one is everything,
Right.
then there's nothing outside of it to trigger anything.
It just is.
Yeah.
So how can it become self-aware?
Right.
That's kind of a paradox.
It is, and that's where the limitations of our linear thinking become apparent.
Right.
We're trying to apply concepts like time and cause and effect to something that exists outside of those limitations.
Yeah, our minds want to make sense of it in a linear way,
Right.
but it doesn't quite work that way.
So the Big Bang might not have been a bang at all.
It might have been more of a gradual unfolding of awareness.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's definitely a concept that stretches our understanding of reality to its limits.
It really does.
Yeah,
But it's a fascinating exploration nonetheless.
it is. And I think that's a good place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the 5 universal laws
Yes.
to the power of desire removing limiting beliefs, shifting realities,
Yeah.
and even the Big Bang. Phew.
Yeah. It's been quite the journey so far.
So what stood out to you the most?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea of everything existing simultaneously.
Yeah. If all possibilities are already out there, what does that mean for our choices?
Yeah.
Do we have free will?
Yeah. Or is everything predetermined?
That's a question that's baffled philosophers and physicists for centuries.
Right.
And it's something that we'll be exploring in more depth in the next part of our deep dive.
I can't wait. Join us for part 2, where we'll delve into this empowering idea of co-creating our reality and explore how to apply these concepts to create a more fulfilling life.
Looking forward to it.
See you then. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah.
It's time for part 2 of our deep dive.
Round 2.
And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to see the world
Yeah.
in a whole new light.
It's amazing, isn't it? Once you start understanding these universal laws, it's like you've been handed the decoder ring for reality.
Totally. But I have to admit, I still have like a million questions buzzing around in my head.
Sure.
Like if everything's already here and now and we're shifting through parallel realities all the time, what does that mean for free will?
Ah, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, right.
And it leads us to one of the most profound implications of these concepts, the idea that we are co-creators of our reality.
Okay. All ears, explain how we go from being like passengers to actually steering the ship of our reality.
Well, remember those 5 universal laws we discussed?
Yeah.
Those are like the fundamental blueprint of reality, the unchanging framework.
Okay.
But within that structure, we have incredible freedom to choose our experience.
So the laws are like the rules of the game, but we get to decide how to play.
Exactly. And our primary tool in this game is our consciousness.
Okay.
Our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions.
Okay.
They act like a magnet, drawing to us the experiences that match our vibration.
So it's like we're constantly sending out signals,
Yes.
and the universe is responding by giving us more of what we're focused on?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But it also raises another question. If we're creating our own reality, why do we experience so much pain and suffering?
That's a question I think we all grapple with at some point. And Bashar has some really insightful things to say about this.
Yeah.
He explains that we chose to experience contrast, to experience the full spectrum of emotions,
Okay.
both the highs and the lows,
Okay.
in order to learn and grow.
So challenges and difficulties are actually opportunities for growth.
Think of it like this. Without darkness, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the light.
Okay.
Without sadness, we wouldn't know the fullness of joy.
Okay.
These contrasting experiences help us to understand and appreciate the full range of human emotions.
That's an interesting way to look at it. It's like that saying, you can't have a rainbow without the rain.
Exactly.
But if we're choosing these challenges like on a soul level, why don't we remember making that choice?
Right. It feels like life is just happening to us sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, according to Bashar, we've agreed to a kind of cosmic amnesia,
Cosmic amnesia.
a temporary forgetting
Okay.
of our true nature and the choices that we've made.
Okay.
This allows us to fully immerse ourselves in the human experience, with all its ups and downs, without being burdened by the knowledge of the bigger picture.
So it's like we've chosen to play a game where we pretend we don't know the rules or even who we really are.
Exactly. It adds an element of surprise, of discovery to the game.
Right.
And as we move through life, we start to remember,
Okay.
to awaken to our true nature and the power that we possess.
So even though we might not remember choosing these challenges, we still have the power to choose how we respond to them.
Absolutely. And that's where our free will comes in.
Okay.
We can choose to get stuck in patterns of fear, resentment, and blame.
Right.
Or we can choose to embrace those challenges as opportunities for growth, learning, and expansion.
So it's not about avoiding challenges altogether. It's about changing our relationship to them.
Precisely. It's about shifting from a victim mentality
Okay.
to a creator mentality.
Okay. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I can ask, what can I learn from this?
Exactly.
How can I use this experience to evolve?
Yes.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective.
It is.
But how do we actually make that shift?
Right.
Like, it's easy to say, choose a positive attitude,
Right.
but it's often much harder to do when you're facing difficult circumstances.
It definitely takes practice. It's not a one-time fix.
Right.
And this is where those tools from the kit of excitement come in handy.
Okay. You mentioned this kit before,
Yeah.
but I'm still not quite sure I understand what you mean by that.
You're right. I should clarify. Bashar uses the term kit metaphorically.
Okay.
It refers to the resources, the abilities, the insights that become available to us when we're aligned with our true selves and following our excitement.
Okay.
One of the most important tools in this kit is the power of belief.
Okay. So let's talk about beliefs. We've already touched on the importance of removing limiting beliefs, but how do we actually choose new, empowering beliefs?
Right. It's not like we can just snap our fingers and suddenly believe something different.
Right.
It takes some conscious effort. But
Yeah.
Bashar offers some really practical techniques for shifting our beliefs.
Yeah.
One of them is to simply observe your thoughts and beliefs without judgment.
Okay.
Notice the patterns, the stories you're telling yourself about yourself and the world.
So it starts with awareness.
Exactly. Once you become aware of those stories, you can start to question them.
Okay.
Are they deceiving you? Are they aligned with the reality that you want to create?
Oh.
And if not, you can start to challenge those old stories and
Right.
choose new, more empowering ones.
That makes sense.
Right.
But if our beliefs are so deeply ingrained,
Yeah.
how do we actually change them? It's not like we can just flip a switch, right?
Right. It takes more than just willpower.
Okay.
Bashar emphasizes the importance of feeling the truth of the new belief.
Okay.
It's not enough to just intellectually agree with it.
Yeah.
You have to feel it in your heart, in your gut.
So it's about embodying the new belief rather than just thinking about it.
Exactly. And Bashar often uses this phrase, act as if.
Act as if the new belief is already true.
Yes. By acting as if you start to align your energy with that belief. And that's what starts to draw it into your reality.
This reminds me of that famous quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. Our beliefs are incredibly powerful in shaping our reality.
Yeah.
And if we're choosing our beliefs, we're choosing our
So
reality.
it's not just about positive thinking.
Right.
It's about aligning our actions and our emotions with those positive beliefs.
Precisely.
Mm.
And this process of choosing new beliefs, of stepping into a new version of ourselves,
Yeah.
can feel a bit like learning to walk again.
Okay.
It can be wobbly at first, but the more we practice, the stronger and more confident we become.
It's like we're rewiring our brains,
Yes.
creating new neural pathways that support the reality that we want to experience.
Love that analogy. And just like any skill, it takes time and practice.
Right.
There will be setbacks, there
Yeah.
will be moments of doubt.
Yeah.
But the key is to keep coming back to those core principles.
Okay.
Follow your excitement, choose empowering beliefs, and take aligned action.
So it's a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely. And the journey itself is where the growth, the learning, the expansion happens.
Yeah.
It's where we discover the true power of our consciousness
Mhm.
and the incredible potential we have to co-create a reality that aligns with our highest excitement.
This is so empowering. It makes you realize that we're not just pawns in some predetermined game,
Right.
but active participants in shaping our own destiny.
Yes. And that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
When we embrace our role as co-creators,
Mm-hmm.
we tap into an infinite source of creativity, possibility, and joy.
Oh, speaking of possibilities, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
How do we take all this amazing information and actually apply it
Right?
to create tangible change in our lives?
That's what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll be delving into specific practices and techniques for shifting our reality and manifesting our desires.
I can't wait. I am so ready for that.
Me too.
So join us for the final part of this episode, where we dive even deeper into the practical magic of universal laws and shifting realities. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah, the grand finale.
And, we've been on this amazing journey exploring, universal laws and shifting realities. And I think we've laid some really solid groundwork in terms of understanding the concepts. But I'm really ready to get down to brass tacks now. How do we actually apply all of this to create a more fulfilling life?
Yeah, that's the golden question, isn't it?
It is. It's one thing to understand it,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually put it into practice.
Right, to actually make those changes.
Yeah, so we've been talking about shifting realities, but it still feels a bit like science fiction to me,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
How do we go from wishing for a different reality to actually experiencing it?
Well, it starts with understanding that we're already shifting through realities all the time, even now. Remember that film strip analogy?
Yeah.
Each moment is like a different frame, a different snapshot of reality.
Okay, so it's not about making some giant leap into a totally different reality, but more about nudging ourselves towards realities that are a better match for what we want.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the way we do that is by consciously directing our focus, our thoughts, and our emotions.
So intention is key.
Yes, intention is key.
But how do we make sure we're focusing on what we want
Right.
instead of what we don't want? It's so easy to get caught up in worry and fear, especially when things aren't going our way.
That's where the practice of gratitude comes in.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the most powerful tools we have for shifting our vibration and attracting more of what we desire.
So instead of dwelling on what's lacking, we focus on what we already have to be grateful for.
Precisely.
Okay.
And the more we practice gratitude, the more we train our minds to look for the good, to appreciate the abundance that's already present in our lives.
It's like shifting our attention from the empty half of the glass to the full half.
Exactly. And by focusing on the full half, we actually make room for more abundance to flow into our lives.
It's almost like the universe is saying, oh, you appreciate what you have. Here's some more.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a boomerang of abundance.
Right. And it ties back to that universal law. What you put out is what you get back.
Exactly.
When we put out gratitude, we get back more to be grateful for.
Yes.
But what about those times when it feels really hard to find anything to be grateful for?
Right.
What if we're facing a major challenge or a loss or a disappointment?
That's when it's even more important to practice gratitude.
Really?
It might seem counterintuitive, but focusing on even the smallest things that we can appreciate, even amidst the darkness, can help us to shift our vibration and open ourselves up to new possibilities.
So even in the darkest of times, there's always something to be grateful for.
Always. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your skin,
Okay.
or the breath in your lungs, or the kindness of a stranger.
Yeah.
The key is to actively look for those glimmers of light, those sparks of gratitude
Yeah.
that can help us navigate through those challenging times.
It's about choosing to focus on the light, even when we're surrounded by darkness.
Yes. And that choice, that act of choosing gratitude, even when it feels difficult, is what empowers us to move forward and create a brighter reality for ourselves.
It sounds like gratitude is a muscle that we strengthen through practice,
Absolutely.
especially when it's challenging.
Yes. And the more we strengthen that muscle, the easier it becomes to find gratitude in all circumstances.
Okay, this makes me think about another really key aspect of shifting realities, which is taking aligned action.
Yes. Action is crucial.
It's not enough to just think positive thoughts and feel grateful,
Yeah,
right?
hey, right.
We actually have to take steps towards the reality we want to experience.
Absolutely. But it's not just about taking any action.
Okay,
It's about taking aligned action.
what does that mean?
Actions that are inspired by our excitement, that feel good, that resonate with our true selves.
So how do we know if an action is aligned?
Well, Bashar talks about paying attention to our emotional guidance system.
Okay,
If an action feels exciting, expansive, joyful, then it's likely aligned. If
Okay.
it feels heavy, draining, or fear-based, it's probably not.
so our emotions are like a compass guiding us towards our true path.
Exactly. And the more we learn to trust our emotional guidance, the more easily we can navigate through life's choices and create a reality that feels authentic and fulfilling.
This is all starting to click into place.
Yeah,
It's like we have all these tools within us:
we do.
gratitude, belief, emotional guidance
Mm-hmm.
to co-create a reality that aligns with our highest excitement.
Yes,
And it's a constant process of learning, experimenting, and adjusting course along the way.
absolutely. It's a journey, not a destination.
This has been such an incredible exploration. I feel like my mind has been blown wide open.
Mine too. It's always fascinating to dive into these concepts.
Yeah, so if you could leave our listeners with one final thought, one piece of advice to help them on this journey of co-creation,
Yeah.
what would it be?
I would say, remember, you are more powerful than you realize. You are a creator, a being of infinite potential. Trust your intuition, follow your excitement, and never stop exploring the vast possibilities that exist within you and all around you.
Beautifully said. What a perfect note to end on. I hope this deep dive has empowered you to embrace your role as a co-creator and to step boldly into the reality that you desire.
Yes, I hope so too. Remember, the journey is the destination. Enjoy the ride.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep expanding, and keep creating the reality of your dreams.